The Nobel Assembly at Karolinska Institutet has today decided to award the 2025 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine jointly to Mary Branco, Fred Ramsdell, and Shimon Sakaguchi for their discoveries concerning peripheral immune tolerance.
Well, the phone started buzzing at about 1 a.m. this morning, and I was sound asleep. And I looked at the phone, and it said Sweden. It was some weird number, and I silenced my phone because, spam, right? You get weird phone calls all the time. So, and my husband also did the same thing. He had the call coming on his phone. So. And then a couple hours later, the dog barked once, and there was kind of some noise, and my husband got up, and there's this young woman at the front door from AP, the photographer from AP, showed up at the front door, and she knew she was not supposed to be the one to make the announcement, but it was the only way she could get in the house was to say something to my husband like, your wife has won the Nobel Prize. And yeah, anyway, I told my husband not to be ridiculous when he tried to tell me why this woman was on our front porch. Oh, that's ridiculous. But you know what? I am honored and so proud to have been part of the work that led to this prize. And but I'm also I have all these images of all the people that I worked with, who supported the work that we were doing. And it's team science at its best. It was
Cairo Science in Bothell, Washington. She's currently a senior program manager in Seattle.
And so I have spoken to two different gentlemen from the Nobel Committee in Sweden, as well as Swedish Public Radio, and I guess it's real. And my colleague Fred Ramsdell, we worked together on this work. As to my knowledge, they still haven't found him. He's backpacking in the wilds of Idaho, and everyone keeps asking me, how do we reach Fred? And I don't know. He's unavailable. So it will be a shock for him as well. We were at a small startup kind of gene discovery biotech company when we did this work, and Fred was running the immunology department and I was in the molecular biology department. And so between the two of us, we were had distinct but complementary approaches to the problem of identifying this new gene, this FOXP3 gene. And at the time that we started the work, you never know where the work is going to end up, right? We were a biotech company. We hoped we were going to discover some great new drug target. Obviously, T cells are a really critical part of the immune system that recognizes foreign, infections and foreign bodies and stuff that infect the body. And under normal circumstances, you mount a robust immune response to something, and then it needs to quiet down. The immune system needs to go back to normal. And it's these regulatory T cells that we didn't discover the T cells, but we discovered, an important feature of those cells. They're really critical for putting the brakes on an immune response. And so that's kind of the basis of the discovery. And like I say, it opened a whole new area in immunology that is important both for just the basic understanding of the biology, but also, it helps people think about ways to treat immune disorders. I would say for most of my scientific career, you know, starting in graduate school and then in my current roles, federal funding is absolutely critical for the success, because it, you know, I know there's a lot of talk about, you know, is there a way to increase the amount of, you know, funding from private sources or, you know, corporate sources, that sort of thing. And I think not. I mean, I think like the pharmaceutical industry has also contributed greatly to, you know, advances in research, but they're only going to fund things that have a pretty high probability of yielding something, you know, super tangible and marketable in the end. And the federal funding is so critical for, you know, launching long shot or early stage research. Very translational or, you know, applied advance had to start somewhere, you know, had to start with some super basic understanding in bacteria or in fruit flies or whatever. You know, it's science really builds on itself, and you need to have the basic understanding so that then you know how to recognize the really big, you know, more applicable discoveries. I don't know. I still have to get my head wrapped around this. I don't know. We may go out for breakfast and Bloody Mary, and and then we'll take it from there.
That it was a fantastic honor, and he was quite